I know in northeastern Pennsylvania, but this is not about me. This is about you, and this is a part of our Commonwealth that may not be as familiar with our new Lieutenant Governor. So I want you to help me tell the story of Austin Davis.
I'm a guy who comes from a working class community in southwestern Pennsylvania, the proud son of a union bus driver and a hairdresser, and somebody who was spurred to get involved in my community because of gun violence. At 16 years old, someone was shot on my block, and I decided, instead of waiting for somebody else to take action, that I was going to do something about it. And so I went to a McKeesport City Council meeting and realized very quickly that there was nobody who looked like me serving in city government, and there was nobody talking about the issue of gun violence. And that really got my trajectory in public service started. It led me to the University of Pittsburgh, to working in county government, and at the beginning part of my career, to running for the state legislature and becoming the first African American to ever represent a legislative district outside of the city of Pittsburgh. And when I came to Harrisburg 6 years ago, I came to fight for working class families in my community in the Mon Valley region of Allegheny County, and that ended with a historic run for lieutenant governor. And I'm here now fighting for working class families all across Pennsylvania, for the families in Scranton and northeastern Pennsylvania, to make sure everyone has the chance to live the American dream here in Pennsylvania and to succeed.
Talk about, you spoke a little bit about your family, your parents. I've been to McKeesport, right? You grew up there. What was it that made you think, I could do this, I can work in public service?
My parents always instilled an attitude in us. If there was a problem, you had a responsibility to try to solve it. Don't wait for somebody else to do it. And they really nurtured us to believe that we could do anything that we set our mind out to do. And so that attitude really helped me to believe that I could serve and make a difference. I didn't necessarily start out in public service to want to be an elected official, but I clearly saw that government could be a force for good. And we need people with real lived experience. We need diverse voices serving in government to truly represent all of our communities. And so it's not lost on me that while I'm Pennsylvania's first black lieutenant governor, I represent people who may not have seen themselves in halls of power for generations. And so it's incumbent upon me to make sure while I'm the first, that I'm not the last, and that while I always occupy this space, I'm always an advocate for marginalized communities.
So on the one hand, there is Lieutenant Governor who is the first African American in Pennsylvania. There's also, he's the youngest Lieutenant Governor in the country. But you aren't new to this. You've been serving for a while.
Yeah, during the campaign, people would say, well, you're young, you're inexperienced, and youth doesn't equate to inexperience. I served for 5 years in county government as a senior advisor in Allegheny County, helping to run a large government bureaucracy. I served for 5 years in the State House of Representatives. My colleagues viewed my leadership skills as so critical that they elected me to be the delegation leader for the Allegheny County House Democratic delegation, the second largest delegation in the Democratic caucus, and ultimately led to me becoming lieutenant governor. So although I'm young, I've had a lot of experience working in government at different levels and a lot of experience at delivering real results for working class families here in Pennsylvania.
It's been less than a month now. How are you settling into being our new lieutenant governor?
We have hit the ground running here in the Shapiro Davis administration. Our staffs are organized. We are working really hard with the governor to help him craft his budget over the next few weeks. We're starting to have discussions with legislators about what their priorities are. And we're starting to carve out what our specific role is going to be here in the lieutenant governor's office. We're going to have more announcements to come in a few weeks on some issues that I'm going to take on. But really focusing on being a strong governing partner for Josh to help deliver real results for working class families. When I ran for lieutenant governor, I said that I wanted to be a strong partner for our governor, Josh Shapiro. We ran as a team, and that's how we've governed, and we're going to continue to govern over the next 4 years.
You say you're looking out for working class families. You've been across many parts of the Commonwealth. From your view, what are Pennsylvanians, and when you say working class families, what are families concerned about?
They're concerned about their economic future. They want to make sure we're creating family-sustaining jobs here in Pennsylvania that pay livable wages so folks can join the middle class here in the Commonwealth. They're concerned about the quality of their children's education to make sure that every child, regardless of their zip code, has the opportunity to get a quality education here in Pennsylvania. and they're concerned about their community, whether their communities are safe. Everybody in the Commonwealth deserves to live in a community that is actually safe and one in which they feel safe. And so those are the things we are focused on delivering for working class families. Those are the things we've heard over the course of this campaign as we traveled all across this Commonwealth to 67 counties. And now we're in a position to be able to deliver real results for working class families. And people are going to see we're going to put that to work as we roll out our next budget.
So, President Judge of Allegheny County, Kim Clark, did the swearing in for you, and she took a moment before the actual ceremony to talk about the significance of that time, of her being there and swearing you in as the first Lieutenant Governor, African American in Pennsylvania, and the example that you are for those who look like you, who see you in this space. What did that mean to you?
You know, it was truly humbling and honoring. I was honored to have Judge Clark swear me in. I met her when I was a staffer in county government, and she was a trailblazing judge and became the first African American woman to lead our judiciary in Allegheny County. But her words had a significant amount of meaning to me because it's not lost on me that I didn't get here by myself. I stand on the shoulders of giants, people like Speaker Kaylee Roy Irvis, who was the first African American Speaker of the Pennsylvania House or any state house in the country. People like Chief Justice Robert Nix, who served as Pennsylvania's Chief Justice of our Supreme Court. And I have a responsibility to help pave the way for the next generation of leaders. And that while I occupy this space and this awesome opportunity, it's not one that I paid for. And so I have an opportunity to pay it forward. And she talked about leading with service, leading with compassion and empathy. And those are the values that my parents instilled in me when I was growing up. And I think every elected official should be kind, should lead with empathy and compassion to deliver for the people we came here to serve. And so I was extremely humbled and honored that she would swear me in. And her words are words that I hold dear to my heart and I carry with me as I discharge my duties.
It resonated with me because I listened to what she said, and you know, I have two little kids. I have a 9-year-old daughter, I have a 4-year-old son. And for them to see you, I was trying to explain to them, this is someone who, you know, is the Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth. Have you had an opportunity to speak with younger kids to kind of help them understand this moment?
Yeah, you know, I've been, this month for Black History Month, I have a number of school visits planned to read to kids and interact in some of the schools across Pennsylvania. And so I really want to be somebody that they can reach out and touch and see and can be an example of them, because you never know who's watching, you never know who may be inspired. And, you know, I was inspired to run for office by President Barack Obama. In 2008, he was the first person I was able to vote for. I turned 18 in October 2008. I voted for him in November, and he made me believe that I could run for office and that I could serve and that I could make a difference. And so I hope that I serve as an inspiration to young people here in Pennsylvania that they can make a difference in this Commonwealth and they can serve.
So let's talk about office, because your goal isn't to get to a particular office, I know, but it's more about the impact. What do you want to be the legacy of Austin Davis?
You know, I want people, when they look back on my time when I'm no longer in public office, to say that I served with compassion and empathy, that I was focused on delivering results for the people that elected me to serve, and that I set a high bar for what public servants should be and what they should strive to. Because I believe politics now can be divisive, it can be out of touch with the needs of the communities we're meant to serve, and I think we need more people focused on public service than the politics of things. And I hope that is the legacy that I leave when my time is done.
Do you think there's something to lieutenant governors coming from Western Pennsylvania? You're coming behind now Senator John Fetterman. Is that becoming a thing?
Yeah, you know, we've had a few, and I think we have a big, diverse state, and it's always good to have balance, right? It's always good to have representation from the eastern side of the state and from the western side of the state. And so I think we're lucky as Western Pennsylvania folks to have somebody serving in this role, but Josh Shapiro and I, regardless of where we come from, seek to represent all Pennsylvanians and seek to exemplify their lived experience. While I grew up in Western Pennsylvania, my lived experience is very similar to folks who grew up in Scranton and northeastern Pennsylvania. And so that of a working class kid who worked hard, played by the rules, and got where he is today. And I think that's something that Pennsylvanians, regardless of where they come from, can recognize.
Excellent. All right, I want you to show us around our office, but before you do that, I just want to ask a a couple of things. So my daughter, when we were driving back and forth from Scranton to Pittsburgh before we sold our house, we played Would You Rather.
Yeah.
And the Would You Rather would be, would you rather Wawa or Sheets?
I'd rather Sheets.
Would you rather Nittany Lions or would you rather Panthers?
That's unfair. Panthers. I'm a Pitt grad. I'm always going to side with the Panthers.
Okay, would you rather pierogies or cheesesteak?
I'd rather cheesesteak.
Okay. I can't think of any others.
Yeah, I'd rather
An
cheesesteak.
easier one. Oh,
Yeah.
hell. Eagles or...
So I would say
Okay. I wasn't gonna ask that one.
No,
but
you can ask. I've been taking it on all day.
Since you're gonna be there.
I bleed the black and gold as a Western Pennsylvanian, but we are all Eagles fans this week, and so I will be wearing my Philadelphia Eagles gear, rooting them on as they take on the Kansas City Chiefs. But the day after the Super Bowl, I will be back bleeding the black and gold.
Just for one day.
Just for one day.
Okay, that's a good